The Special Forces Journey of Red Blood Cells, Part 2, Blood Transport of Oxygen and Carbon Dioxide. Students, last class we learned about the journey of red blood cells as special forces during the cardiac cycle. After leaving the heart, red blood cells continue their special forces mission. Transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide is one of their tasks. How do red blood cells accomplish this task? Today, let's follow the red blood cells to learn about the blood transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is transported in the blood, with 98.5% entering red blood cells and being transported as oxyhemoglobin. The remaining 1.5% of oxygen is physically dissolved in the plasma. The main component of red blood cells is hemoglobin. The molecular structure of hemoglobin makes it an effective carrier for O2 transport. A hemoglobin molecule consists of one globin and 4 heme groups. Each globin has 4 polypeptide chains. Each polypeptide chain is connected to one heme group, forming a monomer or subunit of Hb. The center of each heme group contains a ferrous iron ion, Fe superscript 2. The ferrous iron combined with O2, forming oxyhemoglobin, HbO2. Red blood cells lack mitochondria. This means red blood cells do not utilize the oxygen they carry. Doesn't this seem very much like the character of special forces? Hemoglobin not bound to oxygen is called deoxyhemoglobin. The binding and dissociation of oxygen to hemoglobin are influenced by the PO2. When blood flows through the lungs where PO2 is high, Hb binds with oxygen, forming HbO2. When blood flows through tissues where PO2 is low, HbO2 rapidly dissociates, releasing oxygen and becoming deoxyhemoglobin. As shown in the figure, the binding process is oxygenation, not oxidation. The valence of the iron ion remains unchanged during binding. One Hb molecule can bind a maximum of 4 O2 molecules. Therefore, the amount of oxygen blood can bind is limited, exhibiting saturation. Clinically, Hb oxygen saturation is commonly used to assess the oxygen carrying capacity of red blood cells. Hb oxygen saturation refers to the percentage of Hb oxygen content to Hb oxygen capacity. Under normal pressure, normal arterial oxygen saturation is 98% and venous oxygen saturation is 75%. HbO2 is bright red, deoxygenated Hb is bluish-purple. When the blood in the capillary bed contains more than 50 G/L of deoxygenated Hb, the skin, nail beds, or mucous membranes appear bluish, which is called cyanosis. Cyanosis is generally caused by a decrease in HbO2 and an increase in deoxygenated Hb. It is usually a sign of hypoxia. Thought question: why does carbon monoxide poisoning occur? Does the skin and mucous membranes show cyanosis during poisoning? Transport of CO2 in the blood. Physically dissolved carbon dioxide in the blood accounts for about 5% of the total CO2 transport. Chemically bound accounts for 95%. The main forms of chemical combination are bicarbonate, about 88%, and carbaminohemoglobin, 7%. Therefore, bicarbonate is the main transport form of carbon dioxide in the blood. 1. Bicarbonate. In the plasma or within red blood cells, dissolved CO2 combines with water to form carbonic acid, H2CO3. H2CO3 dissociates into HCO3 and H. This reaction is reversible and is catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase in red blood cells. The direction of the reaction depends on the pCO2. CO2 that enters the red blood cells directly binds with the free amino groups on Hb, forming carbaminohemoglobin. This reaction does not require enzyme catalysis, is rapid, and reversible. The main factor regulating this reaction is oxygenation. In the tissues, where pCO2 is high, when CO2 binds to the free amino groups on HbO2, it reduces the affinity of heme for O2, and the reaction proceeds to the right. In the lungs, increased formation of HbO2 promotes the dissociation of carbaminohemoglobin, releasing CO2 and H, and the reaction proceeds to the left. The regulation by oxygenation is of great significance. Although CO2 transported as carbaminohemoglobin accounts for only about 7% of the total CO2 transport, it accounts for 17.5% of the CO2 released in the lungs, indicating the high efficiency of this transport form. Summary: the Special Forces red blood cells bear important responsibilities. They carry out their tasks in the blood. They bind with oxygen, transporting it in the form of oxyhemoglobin, delivering oxygen to various cells, tissues, and organs. Red blood cells also participate in CO2 transport, transporting CO2 to the lungs. In this cycle, they perform the task of gas transport day after day.